Hello and welcome to Money Truth Moments with Judy Copenbarger. How you doing, Judy?
I am awesome this morning. How are you doing, Carlos?
I'm doing fantastic. I love our Tuesday morning shows. Got my workout done, got my coffee ready, and I'm like, let's do this. I want to learn more about what we've been talking about, which is planning for small business finances and attaching that to and integrated with personal planning as well too. So it's been a great last couple of weeks, folks. If you're just joining us, welcome to the show. If you're not following Judy, please do so at judycopenbarger.com. We're going to talk about our website. We're going to talk about some great resources available for you guys, as well as a lot of other great, interesting things, but you have to stick around to make sure you find out what we're going to do. So with that said, I don't want to waste any time. I want to keep jumping right into the path of planning small business finances. And I know we kind of touched on this last week, and we talked a little bit about the servant leadership philosophy. And I know we ran out of time, but I would love for us to start off the show talking about the servant leadership philosophy. So if you can expand a little bit more on that.
Yeah, of course. Well, servant leadership is just the notion that the person at the top of the pyramid serves the people below. So it's not like you're the boss of everybody. You tell them all what to do and they serve you. The idea is you serve them. And this business model works. You see it in many, many successful corporations around the US, really around the planet. And the way it works is the CEO, the people at the top, the management, the C-suite people, they're going to be serving, the people or the person who carries the vision in a business. If it's a small business, it might be one person or maybe a couple or family. They carry the vision for the business and they take care of, in priority order, they take care of their staff and their employees. And then the employees are going to trickle down. They're going to take really good care of their customers because they're happy. They're going to take care of the clients and the people who are bringing in the money. And then that means there's a profit and the shareholders are happy. So the business model that generally does not work sustainably is the one where all you want to do is make a profit, make a profit, make a profit. You don't have the purposefulness. You don't have the big picture. You don't have happy employees. So they come and go. You have the turnover rate, and that affects the bottom line. So it kind of has a backwards relationship. But the servant leadership model just totally works. That's taking care of the people that you serve, that are working for you, and then it trickles down. But what really works about that is communicating with your staff, making sure they know what the culture is about, making sure they know what the vision is about, being clear with communications, affirming them, making sure when they do a good job, they get caught doing that. It's kind of like when you have little kids, you don't want to always catch them doing something bad because you're going to get more bad behavior, right? You want to acknowledge what they're doing well and affirm them in front of each other. In our company, in our main company, we have a couple of things that happen in every single staff meeting. And I've got one this afternoon. I'm so excited. I love it when we get the leaders together in our company. But when we're together, the first thing on the agenda every time in a staff meeting is affirmations. So anyone who went above and beyond, any thank you letter we got from a client, anyone who helped another helped another staff member, we catch them doing things right and we affirm them and acknowledge them for just creating that culture of helpfulness and service and excellence. And the very last thing we do in every single meeting when it's the leaders is we do what we call barrage. And we go around the table and we pick on one person at a time, but we go around very quickly and just shower them with words of who they are for us. So it might be diligent, it might be friendly, it might be excellent, it might be tenacious, it might be leader, it might be professional. So whatever the words are, balanced, we barrage each person in turn with that. So it feels good to have people say what they think about you in a positive way. So it's kind of a little warm fuzzy. But the real value in this exercise, in this activity, is for the people who are giving the words. Because you're recreating in every single meeting, every leadership meeting, you're recreating who they are for you. And if you've had a miscommunication, if you've had anything where you kind of rub each other the wrong way, or it was a tough week, or there wasn't enough time to get the work done, and there's, stress, that just melts away because you remember who they are for you and what we're doing here together. Powerful. So those are some things that you might consider doing or implementing in your business when it comes to servant leadership. It's about that culture.
That's pretty remarkable, and I would love to folks that are listening to make sure that you're taking note, especially you business owners that tune in. Make sure that you take a look at what you're currently doing, see what's working for you. There's a lot of great things that Judy just shared, and I think would be awesome. Like the affirmation piece, I think it's fantastic, right? Everybody should be doing that every single day, whether you're in business or not. It's just something to kind of get your day going as well too. So I think it's fantastic. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Sure.
So we've talked about folks that really just own. We kind of focused a little bit on just the one small business or the one business aspect, right? But we also know that there's a lot of individuals who tune in who have multiple small businesses, right? And that's a given. It's probably going to require more planning. So talk to us about the dovetail priorities and how to manage those complexities.
Some of us can't help ourselves. We're serial business makers. We do one, we get to put our another one, keep things going. So some of us just if that's you, if you like having a lot of businesses going, you like spinning a lot of plates at the same time, I've got a couple of thoughts for you. And that reminds me, last night I was actually in San Diego, and I was keynote for a group called Woven. Amazing group, women, entrepreneurs, business owners, very successful people. And I got to share on things just like this, the small businesses and what you do and how you do it and how you juggle all that. But specifically, if you have several businesses, I've got just a few words that might be helpful. So one is separate, one is allocate, and one is delegate. Separate, allocate, and delegate. So the first thing you got to do is separate each entity from another. If you have multiple corporations, if you own properties, maybe you have several LLCs, different business entities, probably S corps, maybe some C corporations, or maybe professional partnership, whatever you've got going on, make sure they're separated. And what I mean is on paper. So the income comes in, it's separated from all the rest. The expenses are separated from all the rest. Keep really good records. You don't need Sam coming, Uncle Sam, right? Coming and sniffing around and untangling all that. That's the biggest, most expensive, stressful mess you can imagine. And it's not just an audit, it's being unprepared for an audit. So separate those expenses. Each entity needs to stay in its own lane with expenses, with taxation, with capitalization. If you're leveraging, don't keep borrowing money back and forth between them. They all have their own bank accounts, their own credit cards, their own leverage. That will help you. Also, keep those businesses separated from your personal. It's easy, especially small business owners, just to kind of use one credit card for everything. It is going to bite you. It's jump up and bite you at some point. So be very careful with that separation. And then allocation just means make sure that when the money comes in, you're gaining revenue, it's already allocated for specific purposes. And having the record keeping set up will help you do that. Having all of the categories on your Excel spreadsheet, you just picture all those columns, have them set up so you know when the money comes in, where it's going, what business it's for, but specifically if it's for operations, development, for future capital, what it's for. That is your second one, allocate. And then delegate. Delegate a lot of this time-consuming effort to other people. And it's their expertise, right? You get an enrolled agent, you get a CPA, my preference, get a CPA. Have accounting brought in-house. If you're a small business and you can't really afford a full-time person for that, get a fractional CFO or get a fractional accountant that can help you with the payroll and all of these columns on your Excel spreadsheet with all of that, all the bookkeeping. So that's what I have to say about that. Just make sure that you separate, you allocate, and then specifically delegate, particularly when you own many businesses.
Judy, you brought up some key points, and I actually want to take a moment to also ask you, since you brought this up, is I'm sure that there's different purposes for individuals, such as an enrolled agent, a CPA, and a bookkeeper, right? So let's take the average person who's starting out a business, or they may be already in business for a year. What's your recommendation as utilizing an enrolled agent versus a CPA versus a bookkeeper? If we can just talk a little bit about that briefly to kind of get folks to know the difference.
Yeah, well, a bookkeeper can have other credentials, but usually they would say that. So a bookkeeper is just someone that puts everything in the right lane. They go through the checking accounts. They look at every expense. They put it in the right category, mostly preparing for tax returns, right? Make sure if it's an expense, what kind is it? Where is it going to go? What tax form? Is it part of a K-1 income? So a bookkeeper can do that kind of thing. An enrolled agent is someone who has credentials and is trained in tax preparation. So they can help you with tax returns, corporate or personal, things like that. They're not necessarily widely educated for the planning aspects. And that's why I usually prefer to recommend a CPA, certified public accountant, for that kind of work if you have a business. They're the ones that have very strict required continuing education that they have to do. The laws change every Tuesday. Tax law, when we were in law school, that was our expertise, tax and estate. And when you look at the body of law that you have for criminal, the body of law that you have for civil, and then this tax law, it's like 10x. And we have 3 courts that all they do is tax law. It's crazy, and it changes all the time. Stroke of a pen. They're always making new laws. This year, there's going to be a lot of new laws in the tax arena. So if you have a CPA, part of their role, part of their education of being able to keep that credential is having to stay on top of those things. So they're always in school, they're always learning, they have a wider breadth of knowledge and education, pretty stringent education, but also testing. So if they pass all that and they have the tenacity to get through all that, and then they're doing that work, they're probably going to be a really good bet. They're highly qualified, should be very knowledgeable. And if you find a good CPA that also is a planner, that will be in your best interest if you have a business. So CPAs are really good at looking at what happened. They look at the past and say, this is where that expense went. This is where that income went. Here's how we separated and delegated all of that. But if you find a good CPA that's entrepreneurial, that understands business planning, they have all the knowledge, but they apply it to the future, and you get a good planner that is a CPA, you are golden. That will help you so much, because it's not just what you do for last year to try to get your taxes low. It's what can you do to carry forward for the next number of years as well. So hopefully I answered your question there.
No, absolutely. And I actually, I appreciate this, and our viewers and listeners also appreciate the fact that you kind of laid it out, what the differences between that too. And so speaking of resources also, now it's a good time to actually segue into your website. So folks, thank you for joining us. If you didn't catch the beginning of the show, please watch the replay, share it out with your friends. Also, there's a lot of great information that we've been talking about in the last couple of weeks, specifically around planning small business finances and how to really integrate it with your own personal finances. So I want to talk a little bit also about the judycopenbarger.com website, because I want folks to know what are some of the resources available. And I'll let you guys in a little secret. A lot of them are free. So, hey, I want Judy to talk a little bit more about that as well too. So tell us what we can find on your website, judycopenbarger.com.
Absolutely. One of my favorite places to go. So it's full of articles. It's full of videos. It has a link to get you to the Money, Truth, and Life online mastery program, where you can take all kinds of classes and courses on all the pillars of finance. So not just taxation, how to minimize or mitigate taxes that you pay, but how to set up your estate plan, your succession plan for your business. How do you do it fairly? If you have maybe one child in the business, one child who's not in the business, how do you do that fairly, right? That gets tricky. So all kinds of information about how to do that and how people successfully have planned, where it comes out fair even when it's not fair. Investment, the bulls and bears thing, a 401k, distinguishing a Roth IRA from a traditional IRA, from an educational IRA. What the heck are all those? So it goes through all of the 5 pillars of finance and breaks down at primer level the distinction of all these things that you hear about, and maybe you're even participating in, but how does that apply to me? What should I be doing? Insurances is a big deal. There's all kinds of insurances that we pay all the time. House insurance, professional liability insurance, car insurance, life insurance, all these things. How do we know which one is right for us when the information we're getting is usually from someone who would like us to sell something that has the highest premium possible? It's kind of like there's this conflict of interest, right? So how do you wade through all that, ask the right questions, and navigate well at your house? That's the information that is at judycopenbarger.com and in that course. There's also a book available. You can go on YouTube. There's all kinds of videos there. They're free, right? Just go on there and you can learn about anything from interest to credit to rebuilding credit to what the stock market's doing. Should I be buying gold? All of the questions that you kind of have, maybe you're not even aware that you have them. There's great information there and all kinds of free stuff. And Tuesday mornings at 8:00, this is a good place to be for many of these financial subjects as well.
I also want to personally say congratulations, because your book is still selling fantastic. It's on Amazon. It's on a lot of platform, folks. So if you have not gotten the book, you better make sure you invest in it as well too. And like I said, the little secret is a lot of these resources are free. So all it takes is for you to dedicate a little bit of time, get to know a little bit more about what's going on. And then hopefully you'll get some of these questions answered that you've been struggling with. And so you have that opportunity. Also, I want to make sure that you guys are aware that if you do have questions that come up during the show, feel free to send us, put it on the chat, or send us a message that we will address these at some point later on in other shows as well too. So I appreciate you sharing that. Folks need to know that. So let's move on. Let me ask you, let me move on to the next question that I have for you on here. So we've talked about basically the servant leadership. It's a great way to start the show. I know we were kind of recapping a little bit from the last one. And we also not only we've been discussing single business owners, but now we actually touched on multiple business owners, those that have their hands everywhere and are very successful at it, right? But now let's also talk about the importance of a business partner, interest planning, the small business financial planning. Let's deep dive a little bit into that.
Well, financial planning is like now, sooner than later. So we talked a little bit about the now. That's having great records, making sure that your expenses are going the way they should, you're capitalizing properly. The businesses that weathered really well this last year and a half are ones that had enough money, cash. Cash is king. They either capitalized well, they had a good savings, they had access to money, maybe they had a line of credit already set up. Those are the businesses that really did a great job. And that's the now part. And then you've got soon and later. So that's where we're talking about later, succession. Succession is huge. So you have to think about the purpose of your business. Is it something that you want to use just to raise your family and have the money? Is it something that you want to leave to your family? Is it something that you want to build and maybe be acquired one day and cash out? Is it something that you want to build and have your employees step up, those C-suite executives step up and take over the business when you don't want to keep working every day? What is the purpose? What is the big plan for your business? Just like I'm a planner, right? So it's just like you plan your life. Where are we going to go on our vacation? How much money are we going to need? Where are we going to stay? Where are we going to get gas? All of that. So beyond a vacation, planning our life and our future and our legacy and how we want that to look, that should also be happening in your business. So what comes up often, in fact, I spoke on this just a few days ago. I was with some entrepreneurial young people, amazing group called LifeWorks. Amazing group. So look it up, LifeWorks. But I was with this group and we were talking about some of these issues with, finances and what can you do and philosophies and management and things like that. And one of the things that we talked about was, what about your business later? Like when it's not you going to work all the time. Now it's your money going to work. What's going to happen to your business? Succession is huge. That's just planning the future of your business without you in it. And unfortunately, most business succession happens critically. That planning happens critically. Somebody's had a heart attack. Somebody's in the hospital. Somebody just got a bad diagnosis and they're going to be out for a while, maybe a long time, maybe forever. And then, oh shoot, we got a plan. The vision carrier, the vision for our business, the person leading us, the person making sure everybody's in their place doing what they need to do and that they're in the right seats on the bus, now can't carry that vision. They can't tell us what to do. They can't carry that out. If you don't have a written vision, values, purpose, all of these things that are about the business, not just about you, reflected through the business, you're going to be stuck and you're going to end up with critical planning at some point. Maybe you won't even be there. Maybe you pass away. You get hit by that bus, right? What are the people in the business going to do? What's your family going to do? What's your spouse going to do? You got to think that through. Critical planning is so hard. It's so stressful. It's so painful when you think what we could have done if we had the time, if we had that vision, if we had that voice one more time to help direct us and carry us forward. Critical planning is difficult. Intentional planning is a joy. Like, what is this for and how's it going to carry forward? So you want to make sure when you're doing this succession planning, you do it on your own terms, not because an event has happened. You want to be proactive, not reactive. So things that you can put in place are things like buy-sell agreements. You can put succession planning documents, maybe a buyout over time. If you're going to, for example, have your employees take over your business, maybe over time you increase their value of shares in stock. Might be as a bonus program. That can be a really good tax play for you too. So over time, give the stock to your family, give it to the people who are going to be your successors, have them buy in. It might be nice to have them buy in, and now you have a little extra cash for your retirement as you exit. Sometimes life insurance is used in succession planning because if somebody, let's say you've got 3 partners or 3 C-level, CFO, COO, and chairman, and one of them, and they work together really well, they carry the vision well, everybody's got their role, and they are profitable. They're doing great, done it 20 years, whatever it is. One of them has a heart attack or now is dealing with cancer treatment or for some reason can't be at work. Maybe they pass away. How do we take care of the spouse of that partner, the husband or the wife of that partner? How do we take care of them? Because their future was in that business. So life insurance can be a solution to buy out that partnership for the surviving spouse and the family. Another thing that's impactful, you have 3 people pulling equal weight, equally yoked in this business, and now that role is missing. That, let's say, the CFO that handles all the money, all the accounting, the vision for capitalization and the business for new product development. Now that's gone. We've got to go get a headhunter. We've got to find someone to fill that role. How are we going to replace the visionary that we've lost? That's going to take money. If you have life insurance that can help do that and replace that person, that can be helpful. So a lot of times when we're working with buy-sell agreements, succession planning, buyouts, mergers and acquisitions, life insurance will be one of those cash-friendly ways to help that process. The problem, though, is the guy who gets hit by the bus and doesn't pass away. Maybe they're dealing with cancer for a couple of years. I dealt with that for 4 years ago. So I didn't have a whole lot of capacity for a while professionally for those number of years going through treatment. So that could happen. If they don't die, there's no death benefit, right? So you got to think about how you're going to capitalize an event like that if there's a death or incapacity among the leaders. But those are the kind of solutions that we get to come up with when we're dealing with succession planning, when we have time, when it's not critical planning, when it's intentional planning. So you want to make sure that you're thinking about those things, even in a young business. Do I want one of my daughters or one of my sons to take over? Do I have a sibling? I'm in business with a sibling. Maybe our parents started the business. I think about the McDonald's brothers way back before Ray Kroc took it over and made it what it is now. But you just think about, they work together so well. And I get to work with so many families that are in ministry together or in business together. It's really fun to watch that. The personalities come out and their different skill sets come out, the different mindsets. It's really fun to do that. So I've had the privilege the last 35, 40 years of being right on the front row, helping families and helping businesses plan, not just critically, but plan intentionally and purposefully. And it's the greatest job on the planet. I love what I get to do every day.
And I love the fact that you reach out to a lot of folks, not only through our show, all the work that you've done over the years as well too. And speaking of that, tell us what you've been up to, because I know you've been busy doing other things as well too, speaking events and all of that. So we would love to hear what you've been up to in the last few weeks.
Yeah, well, just yesterday I was in San Diego. Beautiful day. And I drove just the beautiful drive down along the beach and the military doing their work. It was such a beautiful day. So I got to work with this was the business women that I got to speak with and just work with them, mentor them. And I had a good amount of time. It was kind of a workshop. Wonderful, wonderful people, big impact, great feedback. It was great. A couple of days before that, I was working with young adults and entrepreneurs, just encouraging them and just giving them some of the life lessons that I figured out, some of the philosophies that I've sharpened, working with so many people over the years, and just kind of pouring into them. It was awesome. I'm working on a couple of books right now. So I have the Money, Truth, and Life that we launched this last year. Now it's Money, Truth, and Legacy. And a lot of the issues we're talking about right now, succession, the future, what am I leaving? What is my life print? When I'm gone and the building's washed away and you have the foundation still sitting there, what's my life print going to look like? And I get to create that right now. So it's all about that, and not just the money and the assets and the business you leave behind. It's who you were. It's amazing. I'm working on a chapter for Rich Code, which is an amazing book series by some really, really amazing people. So I get to participate in that, and that's coming out just in a couple of months later this summer. So yeah, I've been up to some really cool stuff. And our organic farm is in full bloom. We have all kinds of crops that we're harvesting right now. We've got fruits and organic vegetables and chicken eggs. And this is a wonderful time of year. I love spring. I just love it. So we're having a good time and got a lot going on.
That's awesome. And I would love to talk about your farm at another show, because I've heard you mention this before. I've heard you talk about the girls, and I don't want folks to know who these girls are. So we'll have to save that for another show for sure. I also get the opportunity to share with you guys that the beginning of next month, I'm very excited at the fact that Judy's going to be launching the Money, Truth, Life podcast. It's going to be on different platforms, including Apple. We're going to look at also doing Spotify as well too. So folks, stay tuned. More information coming, but you've heard it here. You've heard it now. So June 1st, it's a launch of Money, Truth, Life podcast as well too. So I'm very excited about that. And again, congratulations. And also I feel fortunate I've been part of this journey with you, because you share so much wisdom, and a lot of the feedback I get to is, and I'm sure you've heard this too. It's like, where was Judy when I needed her, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, and so forth, but just know that there's a lot of appreciation for what you're doing, for your work and all of that as well too. So we're very grateful. Folks, thank you for joining us. We're kind of at the tail end of our show. Make sure that if you didn't catch the beginning of the show, you do the replay. We are still talking about small businesses as well, and there's a lot of great information that you can share with those business owners you guys know. But before we get to the end of the show, you know what time it is. It is time for Money Truth Challenge. What have you got for us?
I have a challenge for you, and I'm taking this fresh from this event that I just spoke at. We had breakout sessions, and all the Zoom people talked, and all the live people talked. It was both virtual and live, which was really fun, to have like two audiences at one time. But we had discussion questions, and I thought they were brilliant. And we got a lot out of it. So I want to carry a few of those forward for you. So just 3. I do things in 3s. This is a pen and paper exercise, right? You can't cheat and use your phone. Don't type it in it's got to be your head, down your arm, to the pen, to the paper. There's value in that, even for people that rarely touch a pen. So this is what you're going to do. 3 things. The first thing is write down on paper what you think is the biggest gap in your finances. The biggest gap, what's missing, right? In my business, what am I missing? Is it I need more clients? I need more customers. I don't have enough revenue. I can't get control of my expenses. Sure, everything's working, but it costs too much to get there. I need to get organized, and maybe do some of this allocation delegation. What is missing in your business, or even in your personal finances? I need to get a will. I need to look at my life insurance, or I need to get something going at work, like a retirement, contribution to my 401k or something. So what's missing? What's the gap? Number 2, who most influenced your money attitudes? Was it a mentor you had? Was it a teacher? Was it a class you took? Was it one of your parents, an older brother or sister, a spouse? Who most influenced you with the financial choices and decisions that you make every day? That's worth reflecting on. And if they influenced you, was it positively or negatively? That's really worth thinking and rethinking maybe some things. Reimagine some of those attitudes you have. And third thing, most important, what's the action item? So after you reflect on these couple of questions, what am I going to do about it? Do I need to have a conversation? Do I need to make a phone call? Do I need to do some research online? Do I need to get a book? Do I need to go to Money, Truth, and Life online mastery program, take a class free? What am I going to do about what I just wrote down, what I just discovered? So that's worth a couple of minutes with your cup of tea or your cup of coffee and just thinking about those things. What can I do better financially? And you don't have to win the game. You just have to move the ball down the field, a couple of yards at a time, right? Just little bits of progress. This is how you get there. That's your challenge. Make it a great week.
Awesome. Thank you, Judy. Folks, thank you for joining us today. Make sure if you're not following Judy, you do so at judycopenbarger.com. So a little earlier, I made the announcement. I don't know if my mic was on or not, but I'm going to say this again one last time, that come June 1st, folks, stay tuned because it will be the launch of Money, Truth, Life, the podcast. So you don't want to miss that. We'll give you guys some additional details as we get closer. Judy, have a fantastic week. We appreciate your wisdom. We appreciate you. And folks, remember, we're here every Tuesday morning, Money, Truth Moments with Judy Copenbarger. Until next week, we'll see you guys. Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.